Class today, pre-calculus students, ready to get started here. Hope you're ready to learn on Wednesday, the 4th. So grab your notebooks, grab your books. You'll need your calculators a lot today. And so get your calculators out and be ready to roll. Let's see what kind of fun we got planned coming up in the future. First of all, you have a quiz that was due yesterday. So only one person stopped by my house and gave it to me. And of course the rest of you might have notified me about different things, and that's fine. I'm just saying one's been turned in, and the rest of you, if you've not contacted me, make sure you contact me with the information as to where your quiz is, what's going on, and all that good stuff. Okay, thanks. Number 2, on Thursday I will give you a review sheet. Now that does not mean I won't teach you Thursday. There will be a video on Thursday. I will teach you many wonderful, awesome, beautiful things about trigonometry, and I will also give you a review sheet at the end of that video to work on. You're welcome to work on it Thursday night if you want. You don't have to. Then on Friday, there's nothing new, but I will have a video for you on Friday in which I will have worked out all of the review sheet problems for your pleasure and your enjoyment. Then this coming Monday, no cheering allowed please, you will have a test. You are welcome to come to my house. All that I ask is this. I will remind you of this every 2 weeks. Be polite. If you're not going to come, call and let me know. Email me and let me know. And I don't mean Monday morning. I mean Saturday or Sunday. Call and let me know and say, Mr. Earhart, I'm doing great on the review sheet. I'm ready to take this test. I don't need to come to your house. And that's fine. That does not offend me. But if I don't hear from you, I plan on all 4 of you being here. When you walk in the door Monday, make sure you know whether A, you're going to take the test right away, or B, ask questions, then take the test, or maybe, I know like last week there was one, or 2 weeks ago there was one student that just asked questions the entire time on the review sheet, and that is more than okay. That's totally fine. That's why I give you that 2 hours with me to ask questions or take the test, okay? So, as always on videos, I go fast, and so let me quickly grab a drink of water, and we're going to get rolling here. Okay, here we go. Hopefully you got your books out, your pencils out, your brains ready, and your calculators out. By the way, let me say this right now to the Mr. Caleb Banks. Caleb, the last time you were here on that Monday, I noticed you did not have a graphing calculator. The one you had is a beautiful, great, awesome scientific calculator. It will do everything that we need. However, let me scan ahead here. We're going to be doing some problems today in which I pull this picture up right here of a TI grapher. It does help if all the students have the same calculator. Now, we don't have to do that. I'm just saying it might help. So I would like to make a deal with you. If you want to swap calculators with me for this school year, I have one grapher left. Now, it's not the TI-84, it's the TI-83, but it's good enough. It's like 99% like the TI-84. And if you want to trade calculators, because I need one here at the house to grade papers and do work on, if you'll bring me the scientific calculator that you have, I will give you my TI grapher, and you're welcome to use that for the school year. If you don't want to do that, that is totally fine. Okay, moving on. Here we go. Please pay attention well and take notes on what you feel like you need to take notes on. We will be looking at 3 different topics today. Okay, now don't let that freak you out. 3 different topics. However, notice this. All 3 topics will be calculator related. Now you're probably thinking right away you need to copy this down right here. Don't copy that down. I'm going to give that to you again later. Don't worry about it, okay? All 3 topics will be calculator related. So they're not going to be that hard to do as long as you know how to use your calculator. One topic is going to be degrees, minutes, and seconds. You don't need to write that down. Another topic is going to be, if I can get my thing to work here, will be solving 6 trig functions with a calculator. Don't copy that down. I'm just telling you what the second topic will be. And the third topic today will be solving for a missing angle using a calculator. So those are the topics that we're going to be looking at today. And it sounds like a lot, but it's really not too bad. And every single problem will be a calculator problem, so I don't think they will take a large amount of time. Having said that, let's go ahead and get started. Write this heading down, please. We're going to start off today looking at a title or a topic called degrees, minutes, and seconds. Now, the minutes and seconds are not referring to time, okay, so do understand that. And most of you have heard of degrees, like a 90-degree angle or something like that. You all have heard of degrees, and some of you might have heard of minutes and seconds. But that's what we're going to look at today. Degrees, minutes, and seconds, lesson 5.1. If you're one that does like to write the date down, today's date is 9/4/13. Now, just kind of watch. I don't think you need to take notes on this. Just watch and see if this makes sense. If I had 3.27 degrees, 3.27 degrees, notice I have a decimal, okay? So it's not exactly 3 degrees. And writing this as 3.27 degrees is totally acceptable. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's another way to write your degrees when you have a decimal like this. And it would be like this. Just watch. You don't need to write this down. 3.27 degrees is the exact same thing as 3 degrees, 16 minutes, and 12 seconds. Okay? Now, Mr. Earhart, where'd that come from? Don't worry, I'm going to teach you that today. But what I wanted to show you is what we're going to do today is we're going to take degrees that have decimals, and instead of writing them with a decimal, we're going to break them down into degrees, minutes, and seconds. And guess what? I will be your tour guide today. I will help you do that. So I wanted to show you what we're going to do. And by the way, don't let this intimidate you. We could apply this to, and I like to fix mistakes as soon as I see them. Okay, so hold on. That should be yards right here. And you can write this down, but you don't really have to, I don't think. I just want to show you something that I think is kind of interesting, okay? Don't let this intimidate you. We could apply this to yards, feet, and inches. Let me demonstrate. And again, you can take notes on this, but you really don't need to. I would just kind of sit back and watch. You do not need to write this down, okay? Now, 3.5 yards. Now, that's the same thing as 3.5 yards, correct? So instead of using a decimal, I could say 3 yards and 1.5 feet. That's the exact same thing, guys. Come on, think about it. What's a half a yard? Isn't a whole yard have 3 feet, right? 1, 2, 3. So if I have 3 yards, then a half a yard, that would be 1.5 feet. Now, you might not understand that, but just kind of follow along with my example here. So 3.5 yards, instead of putting the decimal, we could say 3 yards and 1.5 feet. Or, if you don't like that, we could say 3 yards, 1 foot, and then for the half a foot, we could say what? 6 inches. All three of these expressions are the same measurement, but instead of writing it with a decimal, I broke it all the way down into yards, feet, and inches. Do you see that? That's all we're going to do today. We're just going to take degrees. Let me go back a page. We're going to take a degree that's written with the decimal, and we're going to break it down to degrees, minutes, and seconds. And then later on, we're going to go backwards. I'm going to give you stuff written like this, and you're going to convert it back to the decimal form, okay? And it's really not that hard. All right, here we go. So let's go ahead, and I do want you to write this in your notes. We're not going to use this a whole lot, but I still think for your education's sake, you need to know this, okay? So 1 degree does equal 60 minutes. I would write that down. You need to know that, all right? We're not going to use it a lot, but for your education's sake, you need to know that, all right? So 1 degree is 60 minutes. 1 minute is 60 seconds, all right? So 1 degree is the same thing as 60 minutes, and 1 minute is the same thing as 60 seconds. So dealing with degrees, not time like your watch, but dealing with degrees, if I told you we had 100 minutes, well, 60 minutes is 1 degree. So if I have 100 minutes, that'd be the same thing as 1 degree and then 40 minutes. Now, you might not understand. That's okay. I'm just trying to show you 100 minutes. 60 minutes is 1 degree, so take 60 minutes out of this, you're left with 40, and 60 minutes is 1 degree. And we're going to be using this kind of mindset today. So write this in your notes. All right, moving on. Now, let's go ahead and get started with our first problem. I want us to take 72.18 degrees, and I want us to convert that over to degrees, minutes, and seconds. Let me show you the difficult way first, and then I will show you the easy way later with your calculator, okay? And you're welcome to use any method you want to, all right? Here we go. the first thing we do is we realize we have 72 degrees. Now, this is the more difficult way, so just take some good notes here and watch. We're going to take this and write it with degrees, minutes, and seconds. We know we have 72 degrees, so go ahead and write that. Now, what you do next is you take this 0.18 and you multiply it times 60. So with your calculator, go ahead and multiply 0.18 times 60. And when you do that, here's what you're going to get. You're going to get 10.8 minutes. So when you took 0.18 and multiplied it by 60, that gave you 10.8 minutes. Remember, this is the harder way. There's a much easier way where you just simply type this into your calculator, this right here, hit a button, and it does it for you. So I'm showing you the hard way and the easy way, okay? So 72 degrees, take 0.8, whatever your whole decimal is right here, you multiply it by 60, always 60, because there's 60 minutes in a degree, and you get this. And now look at your decimal, 0.8. So now you take 0.8 times 60 because there's 60 seconds in 1 minute, and when you do that, you'll get 48. So now what you have is 72 degrees, 10 minutes, not 10.8. You took the 0.8 over here and multiplied it by 60, and 48 seconds. Now, if you need to hear that again, then pause the video and back it up. That's the difficult way to do it. 72 degrees, then you take your whole decimal right here, multiply it by 60, and you get your minutes. And then if there's a decimal, then you take that decimal times 60, and that gives you your seconds. Okay, that's the more difficult way to do it, and please feel free to do it that way. That's fine. There's an easier way to do it on a grapher. Now, Caleb, your calculator, if you chose not to use mine, your calculator should do this also. I just don't know quite where the buttons are on yours, okay? So feel free to call me or come over with the calculator and I'll help you, or we can trade calculators, whatever is easiest for you. Okay, for the rest of you, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go ahead and type this into your calculator right here. So on your screen right here, I want you to type in 72.18. So go ahead and do that. All right. Now, once you've done that, I then want you to hit, now follow my marker here if you would please. I'm going to change to a red. I want you to, I've got to look at my buttons here. You've got to hit the second button, push it once, and then push your apps button right here. So go ahead and do that. Second, and then apps. I'm a little behind on mine, so hold on 1 second, please. Second, apps. And up should pop a screen that looks something like this. Number 1 degree, number 2 has a little slash, number 3 has like an R, number 4 has an arrow like this, and it says DMS. Do you see that? That's the one you want, because DMS stands for degrees, minutes, seconds, okay? So let's review. First of all, you should have typed this on your screen. After you type that on your screen, sorry about that, I apologize. I'm not even sure what I just did. There we go. You should have typed this on your screen. After you typed this on your screen, you should have then clicked second and apps, and this should have popped up. Now I want you to scroll down to number 4 and hit enter, and now your screen should look like this. On your screen you should have 72.18, and then it should have an arrow, if you've done it correctly, DMS. Now hit enter right down here, your enter button, hit enter, and booyah, look at that. Isn't that cool? It does it for you. So Mr. Earhart, why did you waste our time and show us the harder way? I'm going to tell you why. Because I think in our technological society we have taught students not to think, but to push buttons. And I want to teach you both. I want to teach you how to use technology, but I also want you to understand what you're doing. Okay, so if you need to back this up and listen to it again, feel free to. But if you want to know, just for the record, we're going to do another one just like this in a second. So that might be good enough for you. That's up to you. All right, and I need to put that back up there for future reference. So hold on 1 second. Let's see, 72.18. All right, moving on to the next problem. Okay, you can work ahead or watch me. That's totally up to you. We're going to take 29.8 degrees and convert that over to degrees, minutes, and seconds. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do it the long way first. You bring down your 29 degrees, and then you take your 0.8 and you multiply it times 60, always 60. When you do that, I don't think you get a decimal. Oh, you don't. You get 48 exactly, so you're done. You get 48 minutes. Now, if it was 48.25 students, then you would take 0.25 times 60 to get your seconds, but that's not the case. It came out to exactly 48. We have no decimal, so we're done. If you want to put 0 seconds, feel free to. Most books won't, and most teachers won't, but you're welcome to. That's the longer way to do it. Actually, that was pretty easy. But now let's use the quick way with our calculator. So with your calculators, go ahead and type in 29.8. Got that? Then push the second button, then push the apps button, and then scroll down to option number 4 and push enter. And once you do that, this should pop up on your screen, this arrow with the DMS. Hit enter, and you should get whatever it was I had here before. I think it was 29 degrees and 48 minutes. All right, so not too bad, pretty simple. And I think in your screen it says 0 seconds, which is okay, but you won't normally write that for your answer. So there, you just learned how to convert degrees over to degrees, minutes, and seconds. Now let's go backwards, and be a little long video today, but you guys will survive. All right, now let's go ahead, and I think that's where I messed up earlier, students. Let's see, there. Okay, no, we're good. Let me write that on there real quick. Thanks for your patience. That's the problem we just did. Okay, moving on. Now let's go backwards. Now let's take 19 degrees, 47 minutes, and 23 seconds and convert that over to degrees, shall we? Let's do it the hard way first. You write 19 degrees plus 47 over 60 degrees plus, now you think it's going to be 23 over 60, but it's not. It's 23 over 3600. I'm going to explain to you why, okay? Because if you're going to write this in degrees, we know we divide it by 60, but if you're going to write this in degrees, it's divided by 60 and 60 again, so 60 times 60, which gives you 3600. So with your calculator, if you would type in this, type in 19, then plus, and I would encourage you to use a parentheses and then type 47 divided by 60 and then plus, and then put a parentheses, and then 23 divided by 3600. If you'll type that in and hit enter, I'm trying to see if I have the answer for that already. I do. You'll have to round it. You'll get 19.79 or 78 something, but you end up rounding up. The 8 becomes a 9, so 19.79. That's the long way to do it. Please feel free to do it that way. There's a faster way, though, where the calculator does everything for you, and here's the faster way. Are you ready? Here's what you do on your screen. You go ahead and type 19. Got it? Then hit second. I better use a different color ink there. I don't think black's going to show up on black very well. Hit second and apps, and when you do that, then hit option number 1. When you hit option number 1, now your screen should go back and it should look like this. All right? Now, don't hit enter. Don't hit enter. You just have 19 with a degree symbol. And hold on one second, please. All right? And then you type in 47, and then go ahead and hit second and apps again. So second, apps, then hit option 2. And when you do, up should pop this little symbol right here, and then type in 23 and then hold it. You think you're going to hit second and apps again, and you don't. It's kind of weird. It's really weird, actually. You're going to hit alpha and then jump way down here to the plus sign and push the plus sign, and when you do, 2 little marks should show up right there. All right, now let me get caught up here with you guys. I'm going to make sure I'm telling you exactly right. And now hit enter, and when you hit enter, you should get 19.789722222, and we're going to say 19.79 degrees. All right? Now again, back it up and listen to it again, or you can watch another example, which I'm about ready to do right now, or if you're getting it, that's totally fine. All right, let's try another one. 52 degrees and 15 minutes. Now we're going to convert this over to all degrees, or to a decimal, degrees with a decimal. So remember what to do. We write down 52 degrees plus, this is the long way, and then 15 over 60. There's no seconds, so we don't worry about it. Now, if you type this in correctly, it comes out to exactly 52.25. So on your calculator, you type 52 plus parentheses 15 divided by 60, enter. You should get 50.25. Okay? That's the longer way. Here's the shorter way, in my opinion. The shorter way is simply to type 52, then hit second apps and hit option number 1, and when you do that, a degree symbol pops up. Then you type in 15, and then hit second apps and hit option number 2, and you'll get minutes. And then don't forget for seconds. Let's say you had, I know you don't, but let's pretend you had 51 seconds right here. Then you would write 51, and then you would not use these buttons here. You would use alpha plus sign, and that would give you 2 little marks right there. But we don't have that, so I'm going to get rid of those real quick. Here's what you should have on your screen: 52 degrees and 15 minutes, and you simply hit enter, and up's going to pop the exact same answer, 52.25. Now, it's my job to teach you. Hopefully, I'm not bragging, hopefully I teach you well. Okay, I hope that I do. If I don't, I'm sorry, I'm doing the best I can. But it's your job to practice. It is your job to do the homework. I mean, I try to keep my lessons short. I feel like you can learn a lot more by doing your homework. So I've taught you how to do it. Now it's your job to sit down with your notes beside you, open your textbook, and do your homework, practicing these methods over and over and over. It's no different than trapping a soccer ball or using karate kicks or whatever it is that you guys do, practicing over and over and over. All right? Now let's continue on to our second topic. And this is a lot faster than the other topic, okay? All right, I want you to write in your notes, finding 6 trig values by using a calculator. Finding 6 trig values by using a calculator. We're still on lesson 5.1. Now, yesterday, when I asked you to find the sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, cotangent of certain angles, remember how you had a right triangle and you used your ratios, and that's fine. That's what I want you to do. But your calculator does it for you also if you know the actual angle number. So I want to teach you today how to use your calculator. But you can't do it correctly until your calculator's in the degree mode. So the first thing we have to do is put your calculator in the degree mode. Now, Caleb, Caleb, you're going to have to kind of fool around with yours and make sure you're in the degree mode. And how will you know? Well, if you're not getting out the same answers I am, then you know that you're not in degree mode. And again, fortunately for you, I'm just a block away, so come on over and let me help you if you need me to. That's no problem, okay? All right, we have to get to the degree mode, So see the mode button right here? Push the mode button, please. When you do, you're going to see, I'm just going to read it to you. It says norms, flow, radian, function, connected, sequential, real, full. But the third line down says radian. Do you see it? Third line down, and degree. Now, if this is highlighted, let me get a highlighter here. If this is highlighted, then you're in the wrong mode. You're in the radian mode, okay? You want to take your arrow button right here and push it to the right. And when you do that, sorry about that. Did not mean to do that. When you do that, this highlighter right here, which I don't know how to get rid of it, but the highlighter will move over here and you'll highlight degrees. And then once you're on degrees, you just hit second quit. Okay, let me go ahead and fix that. Once you get on degrees, you then just simply want to hit second and quit, and you're in degrees. Okay, so make sure you're in degrees. And now, having taught you that, let's go ahead and get started with the calculus. This is so easy. Are you ready? Sine of 37. So all you type in is, ready? Push the sine button, and when you push the sine button, up pops this right here, sine, parentheses, then type in 37 and close the parentheses, and you get the answer, which should be this right here, 0.6018. I rounded it. Let's try cosine of 53.9. So easy. Okay, so you simply take your calculator, you hit cosine, and when you hit cosine, of course, up pops cosine parentheses, and then you're going to type in 53.9 and close the parentheses. And when you do that, I do not have the answer. I'm typing it in now. You get 0.5892. I rounded it, 0.5892. All right, moving on to tangent. And I picked one with minutes and seconds, so you can keep practicing how to type that in. So go ahead and hit the tangent button. So you type in tangent, and when you do it, pops parentheses. Then you type in 18. And then don't forget, you hit second, and then apps, and then option 1, and up pops a degree. And then you type in 23, and then you hit second, apps, option number 2, and up pops this. And then you type in 15, and then you hit alpha plus sign, and up pops these two things right here. Now I've got to type that into my calculator, so give me 1 second. I should have had this done already. I do apologize, guys. I'm usually pretty organized, but I didn't think to have this done ahead of time. I always try not to waste your time. I try to be very respectful to your time. All right, hit enter, and you should get this right here. You should get 0.3324 rounded. All right? Now, here comes a problem. I want you now to find the cosecant of 48. Nowhere on your calculator are you going to find the cosecant of 48. There's no cosecant button. So here's what you do. Think this through for a second. You guys are smart kids. Do you remember what the inverse? You got to remember these from now on, guys. It's your job to know this. The inverse of cosecant is sine. So instead of finding the cosecant of 48, here's what I'm going to type into my calculator. Go ahead and do this. I'm going to type in the sine of 48. So go ahead and do that. Sine of 48 and hit enter. And you should get a really long number like this. On your screen, you should have this. Are you ready? You should have 0.7431448255. Right? Well, now what you do is you want to flip it. Flip it? Yeah, flip it. Remember, sine and cosecants are inverses. In other words, if you have 1, like 2/3, you flip it and it's 3/2. And there's a button on here that flips things for you. And it's called x to the negative 1. It's right there. Okay? So let's review. Cosecant is not on your calculator. So since it's not on your calculator, you type in sine. Why sine? Because sine is the inverse of cosecant. You type in sine of 48, hit enter, and you get this. And then what I want you to do is I want you to hit this negative x to the negative 1 button. When you do, your screen should say this. If not, you need to start over. You made a mistake. It should say answer -1. And then hit enter. And when you do that, you will get the correct answer, which is, let me cross that off. The cosecant of 48 degrees is 1.3456. It's kind of funny, 3456. All right, let's try another one. Let's try to find the secant of 67. Now remember, there's no secant button, so on your calculator, what's the inverse of secant, guys? It's cosine. So type in cosine of 67 and hit enter. And when you do that, you're going to get this long decimal right here, 0.3907311.285. Okay? Then you hit this -1, x to the negative 1 button because you want to flip it. And when you do that, up on your screen should pop answer -1 and then hit enter, and you'll get the correct answer, which is 2.5593. All right, again, I go fast. You can always back it up if you need to. Cotangent of 15. Okay, we don't have cotangent on our calculator, so what's the inverse of cotangent? Tangent. So I'm going to go ahead and type into my calculator tangent of 15 degrees and then hit enter. And when I do that correctly, you're going to get this decimal that's 0.267. You get the idea. 9491, etc., etc. I'm not going to write it all out. And then after that pops up, I want you to hit the x to the -1 button because you want to flip it, because you're really not looking for the tangent of 15. You're looking for the cotangent of 15 degrees. So hit your -1 button, and when you do, this should pop up, answer -1, and then hit enter, and the answer that should come on your screen will be 3.7321. It's rounded, 3.7321. There we go. That's it. I'm moving on now to the next topic. Okay? I mean, that's it. I've taught you, and maybe not very well. Hopefully I have. I mean, it's not rocket science, guys. It's called using your calculator, and they're there to be used. I taught you yesterday how to find sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, and cotangent without a calculator using right triangles, and now we're learning how to do it with a calculator, okay? As long as you know the given angle of the right triangle, you can then type that into your calculator and get out an answer. Now, of course, and again, Caleb, I'm here to help you. You're welcome to come over or call me all you need to. It's totally whatever you need to do, or we can trade calculators, okay? Whatever you would like. I'm fine with either one. With yours, it's going to be a little different. and your calculator is definitely good enough. And Corey, you told me you had a graphing calculator. I asked you, and you said you had one. So if your brother's not taking it off to college and you have that, if you don't, I've only got one, and so I really don't know what to do there. But anyways, call me or email me if you have any questions about this calculator stuff, or if you have a different type of calculator. Okay, let's continue on. Here's the last topic of the day: finding missing angles of trig functions. Now, would you please look at the difference? Go ahead and copy this heading down. I'll give you a second to do that while I grab a drink of water here. And now look at the difference between these problems here and these back here. Notice all of these, I gave you the angle, didn't I? Sure I did. Degree, degrees, all definitely. But on these problems now, and I didn't give you this over here, you had to find this. Now on these problems, look, I'm giving you this, but I'm not giving you the angle. So now you got to find the angle. So what do we do? Well, here's what we do. I'm going to show you, okay? It's a different button that you use, so please pay attention. So let me go over this again. When I give you the angle and you're looking for the answer over here, I've taught you how to do that. Now, I'm giving you what the tangent equals. You've got to find the angle that gave this to you. All right, now here's how you do it. Please watch carefully. Instead of pushing the tangent button, you're going to hit secant. Of course, make sure you're in degrees like always. But you're going to hit tangent or secant and then tangent. And when you do that, this is going to pop up on your screen. Tangent, -1, parentheses. And then what you type in is 2.032. Close the parentheses. Let me type that in my calculator. Hit enter, and you should get this answer, 63.797. I'm just going to put 64 degrees. Okay? 64 degrees. And actually, I really should put it right here. I mean, this is what theta is. So I put theta equals 64 degrees. Did that work? I don't know. Let's find out. You know what we're going to do? Let's go ahead and type in the tangent of 64, because I'm telling you that theta is supposed to be 64, right? So real quick, I want you to take a calculator and just type in tangent, not -1, tangent of 64, and see what you get. I'm typing it in now, tangent 64. Look what I got. I got almost the same thing. Don't forget we rounded. I got 2.0503, which is real close to 2.032. And the only reason it's off is because we rounded this degree. Okay? So we found the angle that gave you 2.032 when you took the tangent of it. Now let's find this angle. So we're trying to find the angle that when you take the cosine of that angle, you get 0.3842. So we're looking for the angle. Whenever you're looking for the angle, you want to push secant and then cosine, because we're dealing with cosine. And this should pop up, cosine -1 parentheses. And then you type in 0.3842 and hit enter. Let me do it with my calculator. Secant cosine 0.3842. And you should get out 67.4 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and put mine this time in a 1 decimal place. So 67.4 degrees. There you go. You found what theta has to be. So if you took the cosine of 67.4, you should get out very close to 0.3842. All right, now let's go ahead and find the missing angle so that when you take the sine of that angle, you get 0.4005. So go ahead and hit secant and then sine, because you're looking for an angle, and you should get sine -1 parentheses and then 0.4005. Hit enter. Let me do it to my calculator real quick. 0.4005, and you should get 23.61 degrees, or wherever you want to round is up to you. 23.61 degrees, and there we go. So if you take the sine of 23.61, you should get 0.4005. Okay, students? All right, so hold it, Mr. Earhart. What about secant, cosecant, cotangent? I'm glad you asked. These are much more difficult. So in your notes, go ahead and write down secant theta. Now we're looking for an angle, correct? And the problem is there's no button on your calculator that says secant to the -1. It's just not there. So here's what we do. This is so cool. Watch this. We simply rewrite the problem. What's the inverse of secant? Cosine. Remember that? So write secant theta. Well, Mr. Earhart, you can't just change this side. Yes, I can. As long as I change this side, I got to flip this thing. So I flip it, which is 1 over 3.056. That's all you do. So if I'm asking you to find an angle, and this function is either secant, cosecant, or cotangent, none of those are on your calculator, then what you do is you rewrite this side here as the inverse, and you can do that as long as you rewrite this side as the inverse also. So now what you do, look, you're trying to find an angle that when you take cosine of it, you get this right here. So I'm going to hit secant, cosine, and when I do, up pops cosine -1 parentheses, and then type 1 divided by 3.056 and close the parentheses. Let me go ahead and do that real quick with my calculator, and we'll see what we get. 1 divided by 3.056, close the parentheses, and you get 70.89. I'm going to go ahead and put 71 degrees. So theta equals 71 degrees. There you go. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So do you see the difference between these problems we've been doing and these 6 right here? These first 6, I gave you the angle, and you were looking for this number over here. So you didn't use sine to the -1, you just used sine of 37 degrees, and that's all you did. Now the ones that we're doing, notice you're missing the angle. And so when you're missing the angle, that's when you have to use the sine to the -1 button, or cosine to the -1, or tangent to the -1. All right, let's go ahead and try cosecant. Now we're looking for an angle, so we know we're going to need the sine or cosine or tangent to the -1 button. Well, I've got to ask myself, what is the inverse of cosecant? Well, it is sine. So I'm going to type in sine theta, but if I write this as an inverse, then I have to write this side as an inverse also. So 1 over 1.147. I'm basically imagining this over 1 and then flipping it, and when I flip it, I get this right here. So now what you would type with your calculator is you're looking for an angle, so it's secant sine, because you're looking for an angle, so sine to the -1 pops up, and then 1 divided by 1.147. Let me do that with my calculator real quick here. Secant sine, and then 1 divided by 1.147. I hope that's right. Yes, that's right. And you should get 60.67. So theta equals 60.67 degrees. All right, last one. Last one. Cotangent. Well, we're looking for an angle. There's no cotangent button, so the inverse of cotangent is tangent. So I'm more than welcome to rewrite this side as the inverse, as long as I also take this side and write it as the inverse. So picture it over 1, and you're going to flip it, and when you flip it, you get 1 over 1.351. So I'm looking for an angle, so I don't push the tangent button. Okay, I push the secant tangent, and when I do, up pops tangent to the -1 parentheses, and you type in 1 divided by 1.351. Let me type that in real quick with my calculator. Secant tangent, 1 divided by 1.351. Enter, and I'm getting 36.51 degrees. So 36.51 degrees. Now, I don't know if I've taught you really well or not, but I know this. I've explained it to you, and now it's your job to practice, okay? Now, this looks like a lot. 31 to 81 is 26 problems, and they're all calculator problems, and you need to do them if you know what's best for you, okay? Because you got to practice. Practice, practice, practice. You need to do this homework problem, these homework problems, and check the answers in the back of the book. Check them. If you don't, you have no idea if you're doing them correctly or incorrectly. And then the ones you miss, be sure and watch the help video. Okay? Thanks for tuning in to another live broadcast, and we will talk to you guys on Thursday.